you are in for another episode of BowtieUP Live. And this is going to be a heck of an episode because it's already in progress. In fact, I had to beg these guys, hey, do you mind if I stop the conversation for a second so that I can click the little live button so we can actually go live and have this thing on the air? Cool. We did that. So now we're live, and I'm going to get out of the way and toss it over to my co-host.
Oh, hey, that's me.
Yeah, that's you.
We are, I think we are discombobulated voices, correct?
Yeah, I believe so.
We don't have our little graphic thingy up that has all of us. We're just a cover page.
Oh, we're just a cover page right now. That's
I feel far too mysterious.
That's not it either, is it?
There we go. Hey, look, there we all are.
Woohoo!
Okay.
See, operator failure. This is going well already.
All
right.
Oh, yeah.
We're ahead of the game already here, folks.
As you see, we have to get like to
me, yeah. Well, as you can see down on the scroll there, and maybe I need to take my ticker off as well. My name's Gabe Leal. I am a live stream host, entertainer, creator, production, author. I mean, you name it. I've tried my hand at it. Still trying my hand at things. So I'm just a variant of who I want to be right now. I don't know exactly what that is, but I am a lot of things. But first and foremost, like I say, I am a live video creator. So I do spend most of my time when I'm doing video, live streaming, and creating live content. So it's kind of me a little bit in a nutshell. I mean, I can expand a little bit further, but father, I mean, I got 4 kids. They're growing older by the minute. So that's another thing. Recently engaged. So for those who don't know, I went through a divorce, separated, that sort of thing, and then met another amazing woman, and we got engaged, and I actually brought her into my live streaming world. We did a live show at the beginning of this year called Unwrap Love, where we talked about love, dating, just the things that you have to go through when you decide to put yourself back out into the dating scene. I know some have. I don't know if you guys have had to experience that at all, but I'll just tell you it's not easy. So we kind of just gave people a walkthrough of what that is. And we are actually ramping up to do a second season here in the next couple of months. I'm also I'm working on another project to launch another live stream show. So like I say, this is what I do. I've been mulling with the idea of doing a third. I know it's not like I don't have enough on my plate, but I just figure, what the heck. So that's what I've been up to. This is who I am. Writing books too. I'm an author. I've actually became a published author this year for the first time. Working on a second project with a whole nother group. We're doing an anthology. So that's another one. I'm working on a solo book as well. So hopefully that will get put out into this universe at some point. So that's another one. And then working on getting better at my hosting live venue events as well. Been working with my church and their live stream team. So man, I've just been dipping my hands in whatever I possibly can that feeds towards my ultimate goal and my passion and what my desires are. So there you go. What's
your ultimate goal?
So my ultimate goal is I don't say my goal. It's my desires to become a full-time content creator, a full-time what's the word, entertainer is what I like to say. I want to become that as well. Spend most of my time just being able to do exactly what I love, which I'm not there yet, but I'm pushing myself into that direction. But that's what my desire is to become for myself. So been planning that for the last couple of months, just sitting down and reevaluating myself and my life, and then what my ultimate goal is. And it's been life changing. But that's what my goal is for me at this moment. So who knows if it changes down the road? I don't always control those things. Life has a tendency to kind of put a fork in where we're at in our path, but this is the one I'm walking right now. So there you go.
Yeah, that sounds like fun, man. And it sounds like you're pretty close to your goal too, as far as I can tell, with all of the different things you've got your little hands in.
Well, I figure it's the same way. So if you take the same logic that when they tell you how to become wealthy, you find 5 or 6 revenue streams that can constantly produce. I think it's the same way when you become a content creator. Exactly. Like I'm dipping my hands into social selling, setting up my TikTok and Amazon as well to sell products. Because it's just another way to put myself out into the world as a creator, so people get to know who I am. And then even eventually looking at getting into doing radio. So I've been reaching out to a few people as well. Like then if you're going to entertain, if you're going to be somebody who wants to be out there, you have to find the avenues that will help you produce ultimately what you seek.
I think that makes sense. So kind of similar to what would have been the pre-internet eras, TV hosts, radio hosts, stand-up comedians, motion picture actors, that type of things, like all like in that entertainment kind of bracket. But so how does that look though in like the digital world when you say like your goal is to become like a full-time content creator, full-time entertainer, and you're talking about having like all these different revenue streams, like 6 different revenue streams being on these different live platforms? I mean, like, what do those revenue streams look like? And then ultimately, from a business perspective, how do they help the people who like give a shit about what you have to say?
So in turn, it also feeds what I've always pushed as a creator, is helping others. And in doing so, like generating ways to, first of all, sustain my ability to do that, to become as a creator. So that's where these revenue streams become important, because if not, then you do have to have a job. Lights got to stay on, bills things don't pay themselves unless you just absolutely go out and win the lottery and you just don't give a shit at that point. But these things that I want to start creating, I want to do it in a way, in a fashion that also shows other people who are searching as well. Like there are there's individuals out there in this world who don't know anything. I mean, I've met a few on TikTok. They're just going on TikTok and talking and trying to create. And you want to tell them, hey, look, it's great, but have a little bit of a idea or strategy what you're shooting for. Kind of narrows down in a way what you're trying to accomplish. It's I've seen plenty of people who just it's the whole throws the spaghetti on the wall and see if anything sticks. I've looked at it in terms of creating these paths that will help me ultimately become what I want. So if it is social selling, then it is getting myself in front of people, talking about selling, not just pushing any products, but products that say align with who I am. Electronics and as a creator, talking about cameras or microphones or these sort of things. Of course, I have pets, so I love my pets, so I talk about pet stuff, dogs, cats, birds, the whole 9 yards. Not just selling stuff to sell them, but to have an intention behind doing the selling. Writing the books will also help me like start sharing my own journey. So maybe it provides an avenue for people who don't quite know exactly how to approach becoming, say, an author or putting out what it is they dream as well. I mean, I've taken in tons of books. So it was somebody else that sit down and wrote these that have fueled my intentions, my actions, my passions. So doing that also leads into another one. And of course, the video creation is just another way for me to amplify my own voice and eventually the voices of others, to have a platform to springboard other individuals to share, create. My thing is I want to ultimately leave this earth empty. And what I mean by that, with all these ideas and things that are sitting in my mind, I don't want them to go away with me. I want them to have a place to ultimately sit. What happens after I'm gone, I don't give a shit. But I do want them not to go down with me. Who knows? That's the thing I always love talking about impact. You don't know if it's going to make a difference now or 100 years from now. You know, I'm pretty sure when Charles Dickens was writing, he didn't know that it'd have an impact the way he did. He was an author. Yeah, he probably loved to create, and that was his passion, and it was. But, you know, upon just, just upon what he did in his time, probably didn't think it would transcend multi-generational, books and literature and that sort of thing. So it's the same thing here. I just want to leave what I have here on this earth, and when I'm gone, like I said, I'm gone, but it'll be here. So in creating all these, in just creating all these ways to find a way to build what it is that I want, then it also leaves a path for others behind me to do the same thing. Even greater, who knows? I don't know. Maybe that's the ultimate thing as well, just to guide somebody else into becoming their own level of greatness. So yeah, that's why I want to have my fingers in as many places as I possibly can, because it's like what we do here. It's networking, right? The right conversation, the right people, just what exact moment that's going to happen for somebody, you never know. So that's why I just putting myself out there as much as I possibly can. But ultimately, that's what I'm shooting for, is for me to be able to fill myself with a level of joy, happiness, and ultimate fulfillment, so that I don't want to again, I don't want to be empty. Excuse me, I want to be empty in here and don't have all these regrets. I know probably will have some, but I don't want them. But that's the idea.
Okay.
So,
what do you feel like have been some of the biggest lessons that you've learned throughout this journey toward establishing this goal, realizing what you want to do? I mean, are there takeaways that somebody who's also along that journey could use to
there are a couple. Number one, sit down, and once you get started, sit down and get a plan of action. What I've discovered is that when I've actually had a plan laid out of what I wanted to do, I was able to do it and execute it so much better than just going all willy-nilly. So as you sit down and say, okay, I want to create videos, great. What kind of videos do you want to create? Who do you want to? What's your audience? What do you want to apply what you're doing to that will ultimately help you attain the goal that you're doing of wanting to create videos, right? So have a plan is what I always tell people. Number one. Number two, set a boundary in place too. The reason I say that is because as you start doing these things and you start putting yourself out there, especially on social media out here in the world of what we're doing here, man, you can burn yourself out simply by people coming in and saying, "Oh wow, you're really great. I would love to do this with you. Let's do this. Let's do that." And you start saying yes, 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 yes. You start realizing all of your time starts going other places, and you're wondering, like, how did you find yourself in this predicament of having all these commitments and saying yes to people? So setting a boundary and saying, okay, I can only allow this much of myself, my energy, and my time to be able to do these things. Once that's it, you gotta hit a hard stop. You got to. So that was a big one, is learning how to set a boundary for myself, so that keep myself sane, keep myself in a healthy place, and just allow me again the energy to continue to do what I do. Because for those who have never experienced it, burnout is real. It can happen. I've created over now coming up on like almost 550, 600 episodes. Some episodes.
Cool. So many episodes.
That's a lot.
There we go. Yes, it was. Can you hear me?
We can hear you just fine now.
550 episodes?
Yeah, so 500, 550. And then when doing these other shows, by the end of the year, I might have close to 600, about maybe close to 100, probably about 1,000 hours of live streaming time that I've probably logged in. And the hardest part was the first couple of years because although I was having fun, I overextended myself a lot. And it really made me honestly almost want to give it up and hate what I was doing at some point. So that's why I say like setting a boundary and giving yourself a limit on what you want to do as a creator is huge. And even if it feels great when you're doing it and people are watching and they're tuning in and the adrenaline, the dopamine that goes along with it, and having an audience and people showing up every night and doing those sort of things, it's draining. It's draining. It's why you see people, even you see athletes, you see entertainers, you see like all these celebrities who want to step away from the limelight because that's what it's like. It's all consuming at times. So yeah, set a boundary for yourself is a huge one that I've told other creators when I talk to them as well, and some of the lessons that I've learned in doing this. And the last one that I'll probably add to this going along is also, understand that it's okay to share part of your life, but you don't have to expose everything. I've been somebody who's expressed a lot of myself out there into this world. But that's just who I am. And I tell others, don't look at me as an example of what to do. Look at me as something that maybe you shouldn't do. So yeah, you don't have to expose it all. There's part of you that hold a part of you for yourself so that you find enjoyment when you're alone in a quiet time, in a quiet space, and you can just say, okay, I enjoy this part of my life. I was there, like I said, I overdid it. There were times that I was like sitting down and like start doing a live stream onto my phone for no other reason, apparently just being bored and not understanding that was actually constructive time I could have been using to heal, to regenerate, to relax. So yeah, I didn't have to always open up everything about my life, and I'm learning that it's okay to just say this part of me is shut off from the rest of the world, and then whatever I want to expose, it is with an intention and action behind it.
Got it.
So
how long did it take you to really start figuring out, okay, this content works, this content doesn't work? Because going into that, when you're going in that spaghetti against the wall mode, you're creating a lot of content, which is great, but probably 99% of it you really didn't need to create.
No,
in my experience. So, what about that process of learning what works and what doesn't?
Well, a lot of that has to go again with putting down a plan of action. Because I'm going to tell you, like, you can start creating things and start putting things out into the world, and you start finding, say, traction in something that you had no intention behind, and you start doing it thinking just because you've built a little traction with it, and then you start realizing, I don't like doing this. I was just doing it because it made me, it felt good to find numbers and people in the audience.
Gotcha.
And it really didn't speak to the heart and soul of who you are as an individual or a creator. So like, just say something like, like cooking, right? It's like if I started cooking, I'm not a cook. I'm not really good at it, but I start doing it because people start watching. And I start thinking, oh, wow, this is it. Where like my greatest passion is writing. So I'm putting away something that I have always wanted to do, that I've always had a labor of love doing aside, because I found cooking, and it's the same thing with live streaming. I love live streaming, but live streaming isn't everything for me. Putting out my words and what I write and creatively sharing that is always what I will love. It will always be the first love that I've always had, and it will always sustain me even when I don't know that when I find myself at wit's end. Um, but creating content and how you do it, I mean, you if it's something that speaks to you and it's something that aligns a lot with your values and who you are as an individual, then I say, yeah, go for it. Um, I don't think you'll have a problem coming up with ideas. I don't think you'll find any kind of content burnout because you don't think you don't run out of the process of saying I don't know what to do. I don't know what to create. You can always just find other ways because it's a passion. It's something that you love. Whereas if I was cooking, you know, I would just try to find to do things just to keep people entertained, and that's not that level of entertainment that I want. The level of entertainment that I want is the one that is going to speak to me, so that I feel exactly like I'm supposed to be when I'm doing it. So yeah, just make sure that when you're creating content, it's for. I always tell creators it's for you first, ultimately, because it is. When you create, it is coming from you, and then once it goes out into the world and people find value in it and everything else, that's great. It belongs to the universe at that point, but you're creating ultimately for you. And I know, God, that's my crutch word. I'm finding myself saying ultimately. I do that. I do crutch on words sometimes. But yeah, that's when I tell people to look at ideas of your content. So I'm gonna just say, like, looking in the background. If you weren't doing content about copywriting, then I would say your passion is music. You have guitars and a keyboard back behind you, piano back behind you. So I'm pretty sure you could create content talking about music because music is something that you love and it's something that speaks to your soul and your heart. And I don't think you would find difficulty in creating it. Whereas if I asked you to create content about making videos, yeah, you could probably do it, but it's not what you love and it's not the thing that, speaks to you.
Yeah, just totally not my jam. I do, even though I do create videos, I don't really need to tell anybody about how I do it. It's not that important to me because I feel like there are thousands of people out there who can tell that story better. And that's fine.
Yeah, there's others that do it better than me.
It's not me. I don't have to be everything.
Yeah.
Right. And go ahead.
No, I was just saying that's your what you just said is what every content creator should think about. Like when they sit down and say, "Oh, like I want to become a content creator or I want to become an influencer."
So can I'm sorry to interrupt, but I've had this question on my mind the whole time, and I can't help myself from asking you why. Why would someone sit there and think that they want to become a content creator? Like, what in the world is going through their mind that they think, yes, this is my career path? Like, my son the other day told me he wanted to work at a pizza shop because he wanted to go in the back and see how they made the pizza. That, I get. It makes sense. It's like that natural curiosity. Like, you want to see what happens with the pizza. But content creation, never once in my life have I felt compelled to share something that I've done with a group of random people just to tell them about how great I did something.
So that's the youth and the YouTube generation, because they see it as kids. They see all these other kids who create content and do all these great videos and gaming videos, and they think that's what I want to do. Like they sit there and they watch it endlessly for hours.
Because I can get some of that part, right? Because like I get watching, you're watching a YouTube video, you're interested in games, and you're watching just about the game, and like you're learning from these content creators, and maybe when they were deciding like they wanted to make videos, they were like, yo, I love gaming, so I want to make videos, and then they're just like, yo, I know a lot about this game, so I'm just gonna start making videos and like tutorials and whatnot. But what I don't understand is the process of somebody sitting down and honestly to God believing that they just like they want to be a content creator. Like I don't know what that means. Like want to be a video editor? Okay, I get that. That's something I can go to college for. Wanting to be a radio host? Yeah, sure. I can go to college for that. I understand the theories behind it. I understand like what maybe the driving forces would be. But like, maybe it's just me, but I feel like the word content creator is really ill-defined, and I don't understand like what the motivation could be for wanting to be one.
Yeah. Well, I'm just like I say, it's a different generation. The youth and the way they look at the way they look at video, the way that they look at it, influencers, and the way they look at people on Instagram and TikTok and all these other platforms, like it feeds into their mind in their mindset of saying, I want to do that. I want to. How do I become TikTok famous? How do I become an Instagram influencer? How do I become all these things? So they're, I don't think it's people that we're looking at in the older generation that are sitting down and say, "Oh gosh, I want to become a content creator." No, they know I'm a marketer or whatever, and I'll use those skills that I have and transition into something like that. But they're kids sitting there now, and that's what they look at, and that's what they want. They covet what they see. So they sit there and they think that's what I want to do. I want to do content creation, whatever that is. And they learn. And there actually is there, so they are developing courses and things like that in colleges on how to develop and create content, on how to start pushing content marketing, all these things that like it is becoming a whole nother industry.
How is that distinct? I guess what I don't understand is how some of like the whole like being an influencer idea, being a content creator idea is different or distinct or separate really from the like original idea of just like entertainment as a whole. Like that's just like the whole thing, isn't it? I don't understand where the nuance is of it other than the fact that it's just online.
It's simple terminology that they changed. They just changed content creator from entertainer because it's what you are.
So wouldn't it be the same degree then? Like you'd still be going to college to get an entertainment degree, but now you would just be learning more nuanced skills, including content creation, because that's kind of part of the like modern package, so to speak.
It should be, but it's because it's the way that they want to look at it and how they want to charge all these college students going in to what it is to become. Because it used to be the communications degree, right? You get a communications degree, and you could use it and go into doing radio, broadcasting, or entertainment, sports, whatever. But it's kind of changed a little bit.
So you can't do that anymore?
You still can, but it's the way that people look at terrestrial radio these days. People still see it as, I mean, it's a viable medium, but people still see it as a dying medium, almost like newspaper and print. How many people want? Huh?
How could radio not be a dying medium?
I know it is, but it was the reason. But it was like the generation that grew up and wanted to be who wanted to be reporters. They wanted to be newspaper writers. They wanted, there was whole degrees for that, and a lot of those.
Well, there still are, and that's still journalism, except it's just online.
It's just online now, but they changed it to online broadcasting or online journal. They've switched. All they've done is taken the simple terminology and just repackaged it and rechanged it, and found new ways to get kids to pay for it, college kids to, because it's the landscape. It's the changing landscape of where we're at.
But it kind of sounds pointless.
It is pointless, but there's a lot of things that are very pointless in our society that we still continue to deal with. Not everything makes sense, but it's because it's been done for so long. We still do it. I think with what you're able to do and how we can now go and make our own little studios and our own little, we circumvent the ways that we can put ourselves out there into the world. So yeah, you are become your own entertainer. You become your own, build your own little industry, your own little cottage place for you to, create. You are a creator. But it's
so that's this. So here's like where I see is like you being a creator, right? Like you're a kid. Little Lee, and Little Lee is going out in his backyard at 12 years old, jamming on his bass guitar, and he wants to make music. And so, like, he and a bunch of his friends, they get together, they form a band, they film it, they put it on YouTube because they want to share their music with the world. Or, like, little Johnny, who wants to be a filmographer, he wants to make movies like they see. He grabs a camera, he starts shooting film, like, he picks his favorite director and he puts out movies because he wants to share movies with the world. But what I don't really understand is what a content creator is doing when they sit down and think what they want to share with the world. Content isn't something to share. It's just something,
It's just something, but they found a way to, they found a way to market it, to package it. I mean, you can go.
So sell me on it, because I don't see the dream. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't get where these kids are. Like, what the hell is going through their head?
But simply go on a platform like LinkedIn and type in content manager.
Mm-hmm.
They'll pop up jobs.
Of course, that's just marketing, right?
That's just marketing. It's just they've repackaged what's been dying off, and they put it into a new form and then a nice shiny package, and then they just re-put it out there. So pretty much,
marketing isn't like when you're saying like content, like that's still marketing. You know what I mean? Like doing a marketing message for a brand on social media is like that's like something that's like a tangible. It's got like a goal.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because like they're trying to advance the business. But what kind of goal is content creation trying to advance? Like, I don't understand the general purpose behind it, I guess.
Yeah.
Like, is it just derivative from a branch of is it the entertainment? Like, I want to be a stand-up comedian type deal. I want to be the one on stage with the microphones. I want to make up the jokes and I want everybody to laugh. I think that would be hilarious. Like, is that kind of the desire? Like that to be a content creator?
I think that's exactly what the desire is. They want to be able to stand there. They want to be able to have people look at them and say, this is me. This is what I'm putting out. It matters.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the whole drive behind a lot of them doing it. I mean, like I said, you can literally go on TikTok and just just type in the word content creation, and you'll have all these gurus and managers and people who tell you about, oh yeah, you can create content. Brands buy content.
Yeah.
That they'll tell you brands are looking for people to market their products, their services. So I guess the content, is like the sales promo, the promo that you're creating. I mean, I'm like you. It doesn't always make sense.
But you're the one who's a content creator.
But I'm a content creator.
Should make sense to you.
Well, that's why I say I'm not. I talk about content creation, but I'm not. That's why I call myself a host and an entertainer. I don't call myself just a content creator. I say I'm a host and entertainer because I host a live show. I host events. I entertain people.
Mm-hmm.
I don't just say, I'm blank content creator X whatever. I do try to say that that's what I do. I am a host.
Right.
But when people come to me and they ask me about how do I create content, like you gotta give them at least an idea of what that is. That it's gonna have to have a specific purpose, a brand, a market, a service that you want them to touch on. So it is dealing with marketing, but some people do. It's been crazy, but there's people who lose their job and they think I can become a content creator. Yeah. I can just create content and I'll generate revenue. They don't have the foggiest idea of the work and the ways that you have to go into marketing to find ways for it to actually matter, for it to actually be able to sustain you if that's what you want to do. That's why it is becoming an influencer, because products, like you go on Instagram and there's people that are influencers that just influence people to buy products and services. You're a pitchman. What was the guy that used to sell the OxyClean?
Billy Mays?
No, Billy Mays.
You're Billy Mays. That's what you are. Except back then they called him a pitchman.
Mm.
That's what you do. You're an influencer. You influence people to go want to buy a product or service. You look at them and they go, okay, this is what I do.
So Alex, it kind of seems like, maybe what you're talking about, and I may be completely wrong here, is that there's, two different ideas of content creation. One is a means to an end, so such as a marketer, such as myself. And then there's content creators, so I want to go out and create what I want to create, which is its own end. Kind of like, hey, I want to go be a good poet or something,
Right.
But it doesn't necessarily have to have a marketing end. But I think in the way that it's presented today, generally there's a marketing element to content creation.
Yeah, that's
even if you're just marketing yourself. I don't know, Gabe. Right. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you look at guys like the biggest one on YouTube, Mr. Beast. I mean, he started out just creating videos, and he would just put videos out. He said, "I want to have this many followers by this time." So his ends to a mean was just to find ways to gain following.
So, yeah, I mean, he had a goal the whole time, and I think that's like kind of where it comes into it. It's like, did he make videos because he's just like, yo, I love my homies, I want to make videos, I think these things are funny, or was it more purposeful? Like, was it more of a business-oriented decision where like you're going at things with a real strategy, and you're not just like shooting in the dark, trying to have fun with your homies?
Yeah, that's why I say that's why I say have a plan. That's why I've always said like that was the thing that I learned. Because I did just jump in willy-nilly, and for me, it was like getting into a car and not having a destination. You're just driving endlessly. Eventually, you run out of gas. Where are you going?
Wouldn't your destination be a gas station eventually then?
Eventually. But what if you just going somewhere and you find yourself in a stretch where there is no gas station for miles and miles on end?
Yeah.
If you don't plan to stop at a gas station because you were just driving, you can
driving.
You shouldn't be. Exactly.
I mean,
it shouldn't be. But there are people that's how they start out. Does it work out for some? Yeah, because they fall into something. They don't know what they fall into. There's people that start doing this with no intention at all. There's stories all the time of people like, I just turned on the camera because I needed to. I felt like I needed to. And it turned into something else. They eventually found the purpose. They found their action, their intention behind what they were doing. But it's always better to have an idea, though, when you start doing something. I mean, it's just going to help you narrow down how to achieve whatever it is that you're seeking. Like I say, you can't, I found myself in times in areas of just frustration because I didn't have that. I didn't learn that. I didn't sit down and have an actionable plan. I didn't have intention behind what I was doing. It took some time to learn what that was for me and how to corral myself into eventually being able to reach it. So, yeah, I mean, I know it can be a dumb concept because people don't always understand, because you're not the first one. I've had conversations with other people and we're talking and they're like, well, what do you do? And then you say something like, I create content. What does that mean?
Oh, I know exactly what it means. I think that's the thing, is that I know exactly what it means. I just detest it. Like, no, I know exactly what it is. Like, I got it. I used to shoot the pictures for a content creator. And the thing that always got to me was like, why? Like, why? Why do you sell these products? Like, why do you care? Why do you reach out to these brands to get them to send you stuff for free? Ultimately, it was just vanity. They just literally wanted to have people like just praising them, and they just wanted brands to send them free stuff because they wanted free stuff, and there was nothing else to it. Like, it was nothing more than that. That's all it was. And it's like, that's kind of like in the same vein of like, you just want to create content just because like, yo, you can. And like, I don't think that's you. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm trying to say, is that like content creation as a whole is like, I guess, empty as an idea, because content means nothing. It means so much that it means literally nothing, but it's founded off of a lot of these ideas that like have been around for forever. Like, it's just marketing, you know? Like, but like for me, it's like when somebody's like saying, I want to be a content creator, and I know that's not how you describe yourself, but I think like, especially when you talk about the youth, like a lot of these things, like I want to be a YouTuber, I want to be a TikToker. Why? Like, why? You know, like, do you want to be a TikToker because you want likes? Do you want to be a TikToker because you want to make money? Because you know that there's sponsorship deals. Because, like, you know that there is a light at the end of the tunnel. Like, are you doing this to be smart? Are you doing this because you see a passion that you have? You see a talent that you have? You see the people around you encouraging you to do something?
Yeah.
Or are you just doing it
Well, I think
because?
I think that's, they do want what, you know, most kids wanted when they were young and they wanted to become actors. You do want the celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
You do want the fame and fortune goes along with it. I think that the idea has kind of switched so much because now you don't always have to just do movies. And you find like ways to do it through gaming. I mean, there's gamers who've become famous simply doing what they love, and there's other kids that love that. I want to become famous playing video games. I love video games. If I could make a living playing video games all day long, that would be my dream. So they go pursue it. Same way that athletes do. Athletes will spend their entire youth, hours upon hours of training. And yeah, we call them athletes, but what's the goal of an athlete?
Well, to reach the majors or to have fun.
Well, it's to entertain. Those are all pleasures. We if football were to end tomorrow, the world will still go around. Basketball.
So do you think that football team on the stadium wouldn't play if there was a crowd there?
So I think they would? What? Say that again.
If there's no crowd, if the crowd's missing from the stadium, do you think that the teams wouldn't play?
Oh, they still would play.
Right, because it's not about the crowd or the entertainment. It's the fact that they love tossing the football around. They love hitting each other with their pads.
Yeah, but the reason a lot of people get into it though isn't just because of the sport. There's a lot of people that get into it because they see that, like, say there's young youth in these poor neighborhoods who they see that as their way out, their avenue into finding a way. I mean, it happens all the time it happens all the time in South America. That's where baseball is huge down there. They see it as a way to get out of the slums. It's a way to find a way to, you know, make their way in this world and find an escape from what would be the normal everyday doldrums of life, of having to work a construction job or having to do something else. Yes. She'll be here in a little bit. She's on her way home from school. So I got little one here with me.
I would assume you have 4 little ones there with you. Basically.
So that's actually my 4 live with my ex, and my fiance has our daughter here too. So yeah, now it's more than that. So it's 5, 6, 7 grown. It grows. Yeah, I know. But yeah, I mean, to me, sports in those terms are, yeah, it's fun and we would play it, but the reason that people really work harder sometimes to pursue even further is they do want to find wealth, they do want to find fame, they do want to find what it is they seek. So yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love sports, but is it a necessity? I mean, there's other countries where like, football doesn't exist, and they still operate. I mean, the things like that. I mean, it's a leisure of love that they do, and yeah, it makes millions of dollars, billions of dollars actually.
Not always.
Not always.
I mean, if you like looking at sports like baseball, you brought up, you got the major leagues and they make big bucks, but how much does AAA make? How much do our double A's make? How much is single A making? Probably not a whole lot.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like, I don't know. That, like, I struggle with the fame and wealth component. I'm the worst person ever to try to make that argument with, because I think that should be completely detached. Like, if you're playing a sport, if you're acting, if you're a freaking dentist, dog, Like, you should be doing it because you legitimately enjoy it, or you should not be doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Or if you don't do it for your enjoyment, at least then, like, don't pretend that you do. I think that's a lot of the problem, is that everything just becomes monetized to hell.
Yeah, it does. It does.
Everybody's just trying to make a buck, right? And everybody becomes the next middleman, and all of a sudden you're,
Yeah, I mean, it's so, like, in terms of, say, this, I would say, like, somebody who is a preacher or pastor, right? They don't have to have these huge mega churches. They don't have to have all these ways to put themselves out there. They get up there and they get to share their love of God and religion and everything else, and they speak to their congregation. And I got a fly flying around here. But they get to do it as their love, as their passion. Like, I'm pretty sure, there's, unless you're like one of those bigger ones, but a lot of those pastors and fathers and preachers, and so they don't make a lot of money.
you don't see any of them on food stamps.
No,
you don't see any of them losing their houses, trying to convince me that the pastor who's collecting the bowl of money from all of the people that they're selling hope to, bit of a hard sell too. Well, I don't understand the reason for somebody to stand up and say you should give me 10% of your income without exception just because I spread this message. Yeah. I think we have a lot of like ideas that are very backwards and nonsensical just because that's just the way they are and nobody really cares enough to change it.
Yeah. Like I said, not everything in life makes sense. Sometimes there are things in this life that, go beyond explanation. I mean, we live a life in an existence where we don't quite understand the stars. We don't always understand the galaxy. We don't understand a lot of things. We can look up and we can make assumptions. Like, there's science behind it, but how far does that even go? I mean, nobody's actually been.
Any of us know. It's not our specialty. Like, that's the whole point of human existence, of having people who know these questions.
Yeah.
You have burning questions about something. It's a good sign that you should be the guy looking at the stars. If you want to be the one who's like, yo, let's name this shit. Let's figure it out.
Yeah. There is. But like I said, there's just some things like don't always make the most sense. And I can't sit there and try to make sense of it all to everybody. I can only make sense of what matters to me that hopefully makes sense to somebody else. What I say, what I share, what I write, what I put out in this world will not and will always not resonate with everybody.
That's impossible, right?
It's impossible. It's like some people who say, Dickens is a great author, and you have somebody read it and say that's shit. I don't know why people like it. Okay.
Just how it works, right?
It's just how it works.
What you don't know is the other person's illiterate and they couldn't read in the first place.
Exactly. That too. There's so many things, man. But that's what the wonderment of life is all about. That's why I get up every day.
It's awesome.
Hopefully I get a little bit more understanding of me.
I love it.
It's good of a reason.
So I'm wondering how it is that we only have 5 minutes left in this show.
I don't know.
They generally
well, I do have a
harder to move forward.
Question.
Yeah, please do.
So is that like an allergy strip, or is that like you have a cut on your nose or something, Alex?
Oh no, that's just a nose strip. Helps me breathe. Sometimes I can't breathe off of one side of the nose, so I just put it on.
Oh, okay. No,
not a fashion statement.
Not a fashion. Well, it's always got to ask because there's always could be a story behind it. It's been like I was picking my nose last night and errant finger went up there, scratched my nose, started bleeding. So gotta ask.
Practicing my 2-fingered strategy. Like, gotta get maximum leverage. Didn't go well. What can I say?
You never know. That's why you gotta ask. So yeah, how do we get down so quickly? Man, this has been I don't know. I just start talking and 50 minutes go by. It's like my life.
It's a good time.
Since we do have a couple of minutes, I do have one quick question. Circling way back to when you're talking about having a plan for content creation. How does that work against experimentation? That's something that for music content creator is I've ran up against time and time again is that, okay, you got to have a plan, and yet there's this unbridled creative element that has to happen in order for the content to be created out of nothing.
Yeah.
So I mean, at first, I mean, do you advocate, dialing back as you go along, or how do you recommend starting out then? If you're going to have a plan and yet be able to have the room to create and to experiment.
Yeah. So it's like, in terms of, let's just say music, right? Say you have a chord progression in mind, right? That's your plan, right? And you start playing it, and as you go along, you start realizing, well, what if I change this just an octave, or what if you play around sometimes a little bit with it, just to see how it would sound, and sometimes it works better. I mean, there's a lot of like Beatles songs. They did a whole album that they did it raw, and that's how they wanted to put it out in the world, and they went to a producer, and the producer said, no way, we changed it out. And what we got was the final product is all the songs that people recognize, because they had a plan. That's what we wanted. That was my plan.
Mm-hmm.
But then you go back and the producer said, well, I'm going to experiment with this. I'm going to add chords here. I'm going to add vocals here. I'm going to add harmonies here. And it changed the whole spectrum of what the song actually became. It's the same thing with what you're creating. You can start out and have a plan, but it's okay to sometimes do what I call the R's, the 3 R's, right? You reevaluate. Sometimes you have to recalibrate. And then you go back and oh my God, I forgot my own other R. We'll just go with 2 R's. Let's call it that.
Okay.
I
got 2 out of the 3 of them. Why not?
But, those 2 things, you go back and look at something. It's like life is never just a straight line. We can have a plan of action, and sometimes we do have to take a different step over, and it does lead us where we want to go. We just sometimes have to take a different path. And it's the same thing with what you do and what you're creating. Write it down. It's great to have it down. It's why we do write it. Have the idea. Have an outline. Does it have to be a hard outline of what you're doing is? No. Changes as you go along. The story, the things that you're writing, the things that you're creating, what you're recording, what you're singing, they all change. And it's going to end up to what you ultimately find satisfactory for you. That's why I said you create it for you. The Beatles created those songs. Those artists create those songs for them first. And then, eventually people listen to it and go, it's great.
Fantastic. Great answer. Alex, we got like 2 minutes left. Final thoughts?
Wow, sounds good to me. I always love moving on to final thoughts. I'm sure you would want me to go first, in which case I'm happy to oblige.
So who wants
to have the clicker
with it? Huh?
We're gonna have a little clicker, a little thing that
what
says
little
final
clicker?
Thoughts. Oh,
final thoughts.
Okay, well, hang on, jeez.
Otherwise, how will we know that it's time for final thoughts?
Yeah, how?
Welcome to the Gabe Leal. Yeah.
Or we could say just put it down there. I mean, I could change it to on my little thing down here.
Final thoughts. We got final thoughts.
There we go.
All right.
Now we got
you get on with it.
All right, my final thoughts are: this is fun. Gabe is awesome, and I don't know. Life can be boring, so do something interesting. That's it.
There you go.
All
right, Gabe, what you got? Final thoughts?
So my final thoughts are very much aligned with what Alex was saying. Okay. Sit down with yourself, take a moment, read a book, breathe in the air, see what the world around you is, find the beauty in it all, and then if it inspires you to go create, then you go create. If not, sit back and enjoy what you were doing. If it's eating Frito pie, eat Frito pie. That's what life is. It's fun. It's fun and thrilling, and where you find joy in whatever moment that is for you.
in Frito pie.
And hey, look, I love Frito pie. I don't know why Frito pie is on my mind.
I have never had Frito pie in my life. Alex?
Never. I've never even heard of it until this moment, honestly.
Oh, okay.
Oh, Google it. You might. Well, it depends if you're a health nut or not. But if you're into health, you're not gonna like Frito pie. No.
Oh, okay.
No, it just it just sounds like just saying the word would put on some pounds. Just
it does.
All right. All right. Well, thank you so much, Gabe, for coming on the show, hanging out with us. We've enjoyed hearing your insights, and I've enjoyed watching you two banter back and forth. It is time to get the heck out of here. We will be back next Friday, I believe, unless something else goes wrong. Yeah,
which that can happen.
And if you'd like to be a guest on BowtieUP Live, I did a Lee After Dark earlier today. I don't even want to anymore. So if you want to be a guest on BowtieUP Live, just hit me up on DM, email me at gmail.com, or whatever. You'll find me somehow. And in the interim, I'd like to give another thank you to a good friend, Gabe Leal, and Alex McDowell for hanging out with us today.
Yeah, so is the Lee After Dark, is that where you just loosen up the bow tie a little bit?
We're still bow tied to Lee After. I don't know. I can't let go of the bow tie. Yeah, I don't know. It's my crutch.
The bow tie is part of him. It doesn't come off.
It doesn't come off. So I'm gonna say
this bow tie's about to come off.
If you're down to the skibbies and it's nighttime and you're getting ready to go to bed and there's nothing else on, the bow tie stays on though?
No.
No? Okay.
No. And if it did, I wouldn't admit it on live stream. All right, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. Bye.